Guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and man, I really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to spend some time with me on the video. And today we're going to be talking about what I consider one of the top wintertime fishing lures ever made. It is a bait that you need to have on anytime you're fishing in really December, January, and February, which is this Megabass Dyna Response blade bait. I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on how to fish this thing, talk a little bit about what it does and the type of areas that it works the best in. I think it's going to add up to some good fish for you guys this wintertime. Also, guys, a quick reminder, I wrote a blog article for the Megabass website on the Dyna Response here. So I'll include that link in the description where you guys can read the article. You can also check out it's the Megabass website, because you can check out all the products they have at Megabass there. And if you're interested in ordering any of the baits like the Dyna Response or any other baits, I'll put my Tackle Warehouse Megabass link in the description. Link you guys right to the Dyna Response, and you can get it there on Tackle Warehouse. So much appreciated there. Okay, let's get into this a little bit, guys. There's three primary colors I use on this. I've got this sexy shad looking color here, which looks just like a little threadfin minnow. And then I have a crawdad pattern and a brighter chartreuse with blue back right here. Those are my three primary colors. Now, a little bit about the bait before we get into it, guys. This is what's called a blade bait. Now, this lure category, it's been around for a long time. They had one for years called a gay blade, but it was very rudimentary. It didn't have the attention to detail like the Dyna Response. This thing looks exactly like a thread fin. So the rudimentary earlier versions of a blade bait were just like a chunk of metal. That was about it. Now, the characteristic of this bait that really makes it effective is this thing thumps super hard. When you pull it or you reel it in, it's almost like fishing a lipless crankbait. It just vibrates really hard. I mean, your rod tip will almost thump when you're reeling it in. So it's got this super, side to side tight wiggle on there that's super appealing to cold water fish. Little feather on the tail for the attractum. And guys, the hooks on this thing, when you get one of these things, this is the sharpest hook I have ever felt in my entire life. I've never felt a hook that is so sharp. You can't even hardly get them out of a tackle box because they hook your fingers. I don't know what they've done with that, but that hook is freaking awesome on there. Little bitty, about a little over an inch long there, just about the size of the small threadfin shad the fish eat in the wintertime. And like I said, it's sort of like a little metal lipless crankbait, but it just is quiet and has a different type of presentation. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about how to fish it and where you want to fish it. There's a couple different ways that you can actually fish this bait, depending upon what you're trying to accomplish there. Trying to get a rod and reel out here, got them all tied up. This bait can be fished vertical or it can be casted. And aside from the wintertime fishing, another really good application for this the rest of the year, guys, this is a great schooling bait for schooling fish. When you see bass busting out in the surface, you can cast this thing a mile. It's pretty heavy and it goes through the wind really good. Really, really good for schooling fish all year long, but we're talking about the winter today. So a couple different presentations with it. You have the vertical presentation where it's just like fishing a spoon. You get over the top of the area you want to fish, or the a school of fish, or just on a drop off or something. And you just basically push the free spool, let it go to the bottom, and just jerk it up off the bottom like that. Just like jerk it up and let it fall back down. And don't let it fall back down on a slack line. You want to, when you let it back down, you want to have a semi-tight line, because if you pop it up like that and let it fall back on a slack line, a lot of times the thing will helicopter and the hooks will get caught on the line. So pop it up like that and then just sort of follow it down on a semi-tight line. Now, when I'm fishing vertical like that, it is a specific place that I have found. It'll be like, I'm fishing it vertical over a drop-off or in a certain area, like off of a main lake or secondary point, or maybe over the top of submergent timber. Or say, for example, I see some shad schools out there and the shad are close to the bottom. Or if I'm even seeing some fish on my 2D sonar, I can just drop it vertical and just pop it straight up and down like that on a real specific spot. Now that's one of my favorite ways to fish it. The other way is for the type of areas where you don't have those fish pinpointed. Like when I'm vertical fishing, I'm like I said, right on a drop or right on a piece of structure or right on a school of fish. But probably the way I've done better on it is covering some more water with it. So what I like to do is, say for example, I'll get on a main lake point and I take the Dyna response and I'll pitch it out in front of the boat, maybe 20 foot, and I'll pitch it and I'll feed line down and let the thing fall down on a semi-tight line. And my boat is like moving towards it. So what I'm trying to do, I get the bait on the bottom and then I sweep it up off the bottom, let it fall back down, sweep it up, but my line is at a 45-degree angle. And this way you can cover a lot of deep water in a hurry. So what I'll do is I'll pitch it out there 20 feet, let it go to the bottom, hop it off the bottom 3 or 4 times. And usually if you get a bite, guys, you're gonna get it. The fish are gonna get it on the first 2 or 3 pops like that. If you don't get a bite on the first 2 or 3 pops, reel it in real fast and make another pitch a little bit on a different area. So I'll start out maybe 50, 75 yards from the end of the point, and I simply just make pitches down through there. Like I'm covering water, make a pitch, reel it in, pitch it 20 foot farther, maybe off to the left or off to the right, and do the same thing. And that way I can cover the whole point very rapidly, and I don't really have to have those fish pinpointed quite so much. Another situation this works really good in is over the top of submergent timber. So if you have a lake that has any type of submergent timber, I like to get the Dyna response down there and jig it right over the top of those timber tops. Say for example, here at Table Rock Lake where I live, we have a lot of timber that is like busted off 20, 30, 40 foot underwater, and it's really easy to see on your 2D sonar, and I'll get right over the top of that timber and fish it vertical on that. It's a really good way to do it. And finally, another way you can catch them in the wintertime really good is around bridge piers. You can take this thing, same type of deal, just pitch it out by the bridge pier, let it fall down, usually not to the bottom. Usually those fish are suspended on bridge piers, and just fish it vertical jigging or at a 45-degree angle all around those bridge piers. I've caught them really good doing that. So it is just deadly in really cold water. My favorite situation for it is water temperatures in the 40s, and you need to have fairly clean water. It doesn't have to be super clear, but if you gave me like an ideal situation, I would take 45-degree water temperature, maybe 47, 48, water visibility of at least 3.5 feet, 3 to 6 foot is perfect for that. And the type of day doesn't really matter in terms of the fish bite. And I've caught them on bluebird days, on windy days, on cloudy days. Now what does make a difference on that is the color that you use. The color that I like to use on the higher light intensity days are this sexy shad looking one here. And on the darker days, like when it's cloudy or early in the morning or late in the evening when the light levels are low, I'll use the little bit more aggressive colors like the chartreuse blue and the crawdad like that. They work really good. But anyway, guys, give it a try. Like I said, anytime I go fishing in the wintertime, I have this on. If I'm gonna go out, and throw a jerk bait or a little swim bait or an A-rig, I always have the Dyna response on if I get in that type of situation. It's just a great wintertime lure. Like I said, I'll link everything in the description. And also, guys, please check out that blog, the Megabass blog that I wrote on the Dyna response, because there's a lot of good info on that. So hope it helps you guys catch some. We'll talk later.